Hi, I guess I'm live. Let's see if my microphone is working. I should have checked it before, but I will go to my system preferences, and now I see that it's working. All right, welcome aboard. It's going to be a wild ride. All right, good. Here I go. I'm working. Anyway, so what did I say? Well, that was something I discovered today was 60.63 billion tons of greenhouse gas was produced in 2025, and that is per year worldwide. And they say that a lot of it, oh, I'm supposed to put my little thing on too, just in case I get in trouble with my treadmill. Okay, good. So that's 60.63 billion tons of greenhouse gases not every year. The year was 2025, and that was worldwide. And in 2023, it was like 51 billion tons of greenhouse gases, billion tons with a B. And yeah. And so, anyway, this is Tessa Woodman C coming to you live from San Jose. What do they call me? I'm Cougar's wife. That's one thing. I'm Marshall and Sophia's mother. That's another thing. And let's see. So what else? What do they say? Co-host. I'm the co-host. I guess I have. It was 100 days behind me, so that's good. And my husband set up my station to get me to walk. So that was very nice of him, and he set up the lighting and everything. It looks a lot better, so that was good. Anyways, so what was I saying? 60.62 billion tons of greenhouse gases that we produced. And don't forget to like and subscribe and share. And what else? That's it. Okay, good. So basically 60.62 billion tons of CO2 equivalents. And they call it CO2E for equivalents. And that refers to the other greenhouse gases. So what are the other greenhouse gases? Okay, I'm glad you asked. I'm just going to have a sip of water. Well, CO2 is the biggest one. And after that comes methane. And after that comes nitrous oxides. And that's what I was really studying today was nitrous oxides. But so basically, okay, nitrous oxides. We'll just get into the methane is coming. Oh, the methane does come from animal waste, primarily cattle, and that's both the meat industry of cattle as well as the dairy, because it's something to do with the digestion of the cattle, where they have these large stomachs or three stomachs or whatever it is, and then they burp a lot or something like that. It's really burping, they say, more than farting. It's really burping, and that creates the methane. Hey Google, that's true that it's the burping of the cattle and the dairy cows that causes the methane. Is that correct? Okay, well, she didn't answer. Hey Google, is it the burping of the cattle and the dairy cows that creates the methane?
Yes, that's exactly right. Most methane from cattle is released through burping, a process called enteric fermentation, as they digest their food.
Right. Okay, good. Anyway, so that's how that happens, and that's methane, and then it's also it's from animal agriculture, mostly cattle and dairy cows, but all the animals produce that, and livestock. It's all the livestock, which includes chickens and lamb and sheep and Yeah. So, okay, good. And cattle, pigs. Okay, good. So that's methane, their waste. And then I think also our methane comes from our landfills. I think it's coming from the landfills too. But anyway, getting back to then the other part of our CO2 equivalents is, and the CO2 mostly comes from our buildings, transportation. What was it? It was buildings, transportation. Oh, cement. That's a big industrial processes. Cement is a big producer of CO2. So, okay, but then getting to the nitrous oxides. And what that was very interesting is that it was talking about, okay, so basically you have the nitrous oxides, which is NO2, nitrous oxide 2 oxygen, 1 nitrogen. And what you're supposed to have when you have complete, it's not really, there's no, it's not a burning, complete, it's not combustion because that'd be burning. But you're supposed to have from um, the microbes. Okay, so what we're talking about is the microbes, and that when they fertilize our lands, our industrial agriculture, which uses the fertilizers. And that's what we've been talking about with the Iran war, is that, the fertilizers are being produced in Qatar or somewhere in the Middle East where there's a lot of fossil fuels, and they take the natural gas and they're able to turn it. It's the Haber Bosch system, and they are able to. Somebody in Germany discovered during World War II that you can make fertilizers from natural gas. Something to do with ammonia and getting that. And anyway, it's all, and uric acid is nitrogen. It's nitrogen, and the nitrogen, which is NPK, which is very important for plant growth, N being nitrogen, P being, so we have to potassium, and K being the phosphorus. I think that's the way it goes. NPK, and so you need those. Those are the macronutrients that you need for plant growth. And so the nitrogen is coming from this uric acid that they're getting from the natural gas. So it's from fossil fuels. So that's, has sunlight and organic material. And so that's where even our urine has similar components. But anyway, getting back to the fertilizer. So the fertilizer um, that they're using, which is from natural gas, and they put so much of it on to really create our food system that is able to feed 8 billion people. And so they put this, whatever it is, in the powder form that um, they fertilize the lands. And what happens is the microbes, they cannot handle all that nitrogen, and then they produce nitrous oxide, and that's what we get. That's a greenhouse gas. It's a nitrous oxide, and normally it should be NO2. So it's nitrous oxides versus NO. So normally the microbes in the soil, even though our soils I thought were pretty much dead and they just added fertilizers to them, but there is microbes in our soil, and they even in our industrial agricultural soils, and they are overwhelmed by the nitrogen, and then they put out the NO2, and that is a greenhouse gas. And normally, in like organic gardening, if I was doing my gardening in my backyard, which I'm doing, the compost wouldn't put out it wouldn't put out the nitrous oxide. It would just be putting out NO. Hey Google, what is NO2? Is that nitrous oxide? And then what is NO? Because when the microbes deal with the nitrogen, normally if it's not at a very high level like our artificial fertilizers, then that's when it produces the nitrous oxide, which is NO2, correct?
Actually, NO2 is nitrogen dioxide, while nitrous oxide is N2O.
Oh,
They are
N2O.
different gases.
I see.
Microbes produce N2O during the natural nitrogen cycle, but excessive nitrogen from fertilizers increases this production significantly.
N2O.
NO, or nitric oxide, is another distinct compound often involved in atmospheric reactions.
Hey Google, so N2O is different than NO2. So N2O is what is produced when there's a lot of nitrogen from the artificial fertilizers that use natural gas, and that's what it produces N2O. Is that correct? Hey Google, is it correct that when we have a lot of nitrogen from the fertilizers, the microbes produce N2O and they don't stop at NO? Is that the way it goes?
You've got the core idea. When excess nitrogen from fertilizers is available, microbial processes like denitrification are overwhelmed. Normally, microbes convert nitrates into nitrogen gas, N2, but high nitrogen levels can interrupt this sequence, leading them to release nitrous oxide, N2O, as an intermediate byproduct instead of completing the full conversion.
Hey Google, so could you repeat that? Maybe she will. Okay, good. So I guess it's N2O. Hey Google, can you repeat? No.
You've got the core idea. When excess nitrogen from fertilizers is available, microbial processes like denitrification are overwhelmed. Normally, microbes convert nitrates into nitrogen gas, but high nitrogen levels can interrupt this, causing them to release nitrous oxide as an intermediate byproduct instead of completing a full conversion.
Hey Google, what is the full conversion? Is that NO? Nitrous oxide is what you're saying it produces, which is the greenhouse gas, right? When it has so much nitrogen. So what is it? The
full conversion in the denitrification process ends with dinitrogen, N2 gas,
N2.
which is the stable, harmless form found in our atmosphere.
N2. I see. So N2 would be the stable form that's found in our atmosphere, but we're getting N2O. So is that an incomplete conversion of the nitric acid? Is when it goes to N2O versus N2? Hey Google, is that true? That N2O is incomplete, where if it went further...
Yes, that's correct. Denitrification is a 4-step sequence. Nitrate becomes nitrite, then nitric oxide, then nitrous oxide, and finally dinitrogen, N2 gas.
I see. So a complete conversion would be N2 gas, which would be the inert form. But because there's so much nitrogen, it stops. It doesn't go all the way conversion, and it stops at N2O. Is that true, Google? That complete conversion would be NO, but the incomplete is N2O. Is that true? Hey Google, so if the nitric acid would be completely converted, it would go to N2, but when it's N2, would that be true? And then when it's incomplete, it goes to N2O. Is that true, Google?
That is correct. Complete denitrification converts nitrates all the way to harmless dinitrogen gas, N2.
N2.
Incomplete denitrification leaves the process stalled, releasing nitrous oxide, N2O.
And that's the greenhouse gas, is the nitrous oxide.
The Haber-Bosch process starts with N2 gas.
Oh, N2.
And you get the fertilizer.
Right.
When the fertilizer is combusted, you get the N2 gas back.
Right. Because the nitrates...
Conservation of matter.
You get the N2 gas. Well, if it complete, it will go back to N2.
Yes.
But because it's overwhelmed with the amount of nitrogen, they say it stops
Maybe
at
it's
N2O and it becomes a greenhouse gas.
maybe it has to do with soil conditions like aerobic or anaerobic or acidification.
Well, they said it was just the overwhelming amount of nitrogen that's in
There's
the.
so much of it.
There's so much, and that it doesn't able to complete it back to
It might
N2.
be toxic.
Which, yeah, well, it's a greenhouse gas,
No,
and
the fertilizer itself might even be toxic.
toxic to the microbes,
Right.
and they can't complete what is the process called? It's not combustion, but it's nitrogenation or something. It's a nitrogen process. It's a nitrogen.
The challenge is to get nitrogen into the ground for use by the plant.
Right. And so so there's a lot of nitrogen there, but it's the byproduct is the waste of greenhouse gas, and we're producing so much of it now. Yeah, and so that is where we got to 60.63 billion tons of greenhouse gases, and so it's carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrogen, nitrous oxide, which is the greenhouse gas from the way we do our agriculture. So we have to stop that. We have to stop using, these the Haber-Bosch process of creating, taking natural gas and turning it into a fertilizer. We can't be using that. It's too much, and it actually creates more greenhouse gases. So we're taking greenhouse gas, natural gas, and then it's creating more natural gas. Of course, that's garbage in, garbage out. So that's what happens. So we have to go back to natural ways of doing our gardening, and we have to start growing our own food, and that and composting, and then I asked, well, they said it was something to do with methane, and they were talking about the methane is coming from animal waste or livestock waste, and I asked Google, I said, well, what about worm compost? And just no, worm compost doesn't create the methane that the other animal waste. That was one part of our methane is animal waste, and so we have to start using our worms as part of our agricultural system, and as the only livestock we raise. That's the only livestock I'm raising is my worms, and they do a great job of managing my food waste, along with my hot compost, which is with my carbon, my brown leaves, and my sawdust, and sometimes I get coffee grounds, even though coffee grounds are considered a green waste, but it adds something to our compost, and my food waste for my vegan diet. So that's what goes into my compost, and my more hot compost versus my vermicompost. I feed it a lot of vegetable. I make a lot of vegetable juices, so they do love all that. The waste from my vegetable juice. The what is it called? My fiber. The fiber. I'd probably be eating it, but we do love our juices. So anyway, and so that was that. That was the one thing we learned today is the nitrous oxide, and what's causing that is our industrial agriculture and how we're raising foods. And we're all crying about that we have to get the fertilizers back, and we're not getting the fertilizers, and we're all going to die from not having the fertilizers. And it's true, we are going to have trouble with it because we're so dependent on it, and we're not growing our own food, and we have to start growing our own food again. When you see the problems of having so many dependencies, like from the Middle East, and then they can cut off the Strait of Hormuz, and there goes our fertilizers and our oil and gas and even our pharmaceuticals. So much of the pharmaceuticals comes from using those they use fossil fuels to make our pharmaceuticals. All right, so here I am doing okay, good, because I have to get off my pharmaceutical of my high blood pressure and do my exercise. All right, fine. And de-stress, mostly exercise. All right, good. How are you?
Okay.
Good. All right, good. So, what else are we talking about?
This.
All right, good. Um, okay, so that was the nitrous oxide. The night. What? Hey Google, what is it called the process of nitrogen degeneration that the microbes do? What is that process called? Is it? It's not called combustion. What is it referred to?
It's called denitrification. It's a biological process
Denitrification.
where microbes convert nitrates into various gases, ideally ending in harmless nitrogen gas.
Right. Nitrification. Hey Google, repeat.
It's called denitrification. It's a biological process where
Denitrification.
microbes
Biological.
convert nitrates into various gases, ideally
Denitrification.
ending in harmless nitrogen gas.
Right. You wanted to go to N2. Right. Hey Google, you wanted to end at N2, not N2O, correct? Hey Google, you wanted to end at N2, not N2O, correct?
Yes, exactly. The ideal complete process ends with harmless dinitrogen gas, N2, not nitrous oxide, N2O.
Right, not nitrous oxide. Right, which is a green, nitrous oxide is the greenhouse gas, nitrous oxides. Yeah. Anyway, so that's our problem. So, we have so many problems, and one of them is our industrial agriculture and how we're going to stop it and do things differently. We have to do things very differently. And, we can't be keeping on doing that. And so, somebody was talking about, well, what is his name? I forget, but it was something to do with survival, prepper, city prepper. I think his name is his YouTube channel, City Prepper, and he does a good job. And he was saying, things aren't, and even another woman was also a prepper, and she was saying on another YouTube channel, things aren't going to go back to normal. And, so we have to get ready to live differently and have our lifestyles differently. And what else happened today? I mean, when I rode my electric trike to go to the grocery store to pick up my curbside Safeway stuff, what mostly honey. I bought two 5-pound cans of honey and olive oil and avocado oil. So in glass jars. Well, the olive oil was in a metal can. And what else? Tomatoes. Those are the things they say we have to really stock up on. Oil, honey, and tomatoes, because they make our food taste great. And it's true. And so, what else did I get? Oh, I did get some whole wheat spaghetti, thin whole wheat spaghetti. What else? Oh, and bananas. And so, anyway, what was it saying? Oh, over $6 a gallon gas in California, San Jose. So that was good to see. Yeah, we have to make gas be very high. I'm happy to see it. So I don't use gas. We don't use gas. And even if I did, I mean, we have to start not using it, and it needs to be very, very high. And I guess I'm starting to be an EV salesperson. I've been trying to help my girlfriend. She's 75, Mary, to buy an EV. And what she didn't like about the EVs was we went to the city of San Jose is really trying to get everybody to use the EVs. So they had a like an EV fair last weekend, and I went with my girlfriend Mary, and trying to get her to buy an EV. And so she went and tried they had the Teslas there, the Tesla Y or whatever, and the Model Y and the Model 3. And so she said she came home and she texted me, I'm not going to buy an electric car. Okay, fine. So I asked her, Mary, why not? And she said it was the screen. It was too hard to deal with all the controls that you had to go to the screen. And I agree. So, and a lot of people agreed. And so the EV makers are changing back to the knobs, different things and buttons. So it's more manual and it's not related to the screen. I think the screen is great for navigation and things like that, but that's about it. And so, but you know, she didn't want to have to go to the screen so she could move her chair back. And so anyway, I looked up about that some of the cars like the Kia and the what's it, Hyundai Ioniq. And what was good also about the Hyundai Ioniq, they had more buttons. So they had more button technology for you didn't have to use the screen to manage the operations of the car. And then the other thing with my son, trying to get him to get a EV, and his thing was he had a good comment, which was that because they live in an apartment that is more, I don't know, it's what is it? It's not a modern apartment, it's an older apartment. And what does he say? He's well, I was just it's rentally controlled. It's rent controlled, which is great. So that's good. But it's an older building in San Francisco, and so he says, you know, if you don't own your own home, and you know, so you want to be able to fast charge, and that makes sense. That does make sense. So it turns out that the Ioniq, the Hyundai Ioniq 5, even back to 2021, used has the adapter to use the Tesla fast charging. So I told him that. We'll see. And so, and maybe it's not as expensive to get insurance. I don't know. That's the other problem is his insurance. But paying $6 or $10 a gallon, I think is going to hurt, especially they have this stupid, like, big car that his girlfriend bought. What kind of car is it? Some type of Jeep. Oh, it's a Jeep. So hopefully maybe the prices will move them towards electric, I hope. All right, so that's that. What else? So, yeah, the nitrous oxides. That was so interesting. What did she call the process? The process is called, hey, Google, what is the name of the process of the nitrogen being changed by the microbes? Called the denitrification, correct?
Yes, that is correct. Denitrification is the biological process where microbes convert nitrates into nitrogen gas.
Nitrates into nitrogen gas. Hey, Google, but you want it to be the inert nitrogen gas, which is NO. Is that called nitrous? What does NO stand for? And then the one that's the greenhouse gas, when it's incomplete denitrification, then you get N2O. What does N2O mean in NO?
N2 is stable dinitrogen gas. NO stands for nitric oxide. N2O is nitrous oxide, a potent greenhouse gas created during incomplete denitrification.
Denitrification. So, and hey Google, what is NO?
O is the chemical symbol for the element oxygen.
Oxygen.
In nature, it's typically found as a molecule called O2, which is the oxygen gas we breathe.
So, hey Google, when NO is considered the complete denitrification, what does NO stand for? Hey Google, what does NO stand for in the complete denitrification?
the context of the nitrogen cycle, NO stands for nitric oxide. It is an intermediate gaseous byproduct produced during the process of denitrification.
Hey Google, NO, nitrous oxide, is the complete denitrification, which is the inert NO, or is it N2? Maybe it's N2. N2 is what we breathe, right, in the air. Is it N2, which is, what does N2 stand for?
You've got it. N2 is dinitrogen gas, which makes up about 78% of the air we breathe.
Nitrogen gas.
It is inert and the final harmless product of complete denitrification.
N2 is hey Google, what is N2 again? D is, what does N2 stand for? Dinitrogen, N2. It's 78% of the atmosphere, and dinitrous, dinitrogen. Hey Google, N2 stands for dinitrogen.
That's right. N2 stands for dinitrogen, a stable, inert gas that makes up the majority of the air we breathe.
Right. And that's the complete denitrification. Hey Google, the complete denitrification is getting to N2, which is dinitrogen, correct? Hey Google, the complete process of denitrification is N2, which is dinitrogen.
You've got it. The complete process of denitrification ends with N2, which is dinitrogen gas. The inert gas we breathe.
Dinitrogen gas. Dinitrogen. And di is a prefix. Hey Google, di is the prefix too, right? In Greek. Hey Google, is that true? Di is the prefix 2, means 2. Dinitrogen is N2.
That's exactly right. The prefix di comes from Greek and means 2. So dinitrogen, N2, literally means 2 nitrogen atoms.
2 nitrogen atoms, dinitrogen. Where N2O is the nitrous oxide. Is it NO2? No, it's NO2 is the greenhouse gas from incomplete denitrification. Is that true, Google? That NO2 is the incomplete denitrification? Hey Google, the incomplete denitrification is NO2. Is that true?
Not quite.
No.
Incomplete denitrification typically refers to the release of nitrous oxide, N2O,
N2O.
or nitric oxide, NO. While nitrite, NO2, is a chemical intermediate in the pathway.
Right.
N2O is the primary greenhouse gas byproduct that escapes when the process doesn't reach the final N2 stage.
I see. Right. The final. What happens then? Hey Google. So what happens in N2O? Because you really want N2, dinitrogen. So when you get N2O, you're getting the oxygen in there, and that's caused by incomplete denitrification. And for some reason, the oxygen is attached. Correct? And what causes the oxygen to be attached?
Microbes strip oxygen from nitrate, NO3, to breathe when soil oxygen is low. If the process is interrupted, oxygen stays attached, forming N2O.
Okay. N2O. And hey Google, so N2O is the greenhouse gas that is incomplete denitrification, correct? N2O. Hey Google, the incomplete denitrification is N2O, where the oxygen is attached, where you don't want that. You want it to go all the way where the oxygen is released and it's N2. And what causes the oxygen to stay attached and what helps it be released?
Microbes strip oxygen from nitrates to breathe. Factors like low soil pH, low carbon, or high moisture can interrupt this, causing N2O to remain.
Right. And they say, hey Google, they say that the overabundance of nitrogen from the artificial fertilizers causes the system to stop at N2O versus going all the way to N2. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Excess fertilizer provides too much substrate, while conditions like soil acidity, moisture, or limited microbial diversity can stall the process, trapping nitrogen as N2O instead of allowing it to fully convert to N2.
Okay, I got it. I finally got it. N2O is the problem with too much nitrogen from the fertilizers, and it's the denitrification process that is stopped, doesn't go to its completion, which would be an inert gas, N2, nitrogen, dinitrogen, which is what's in our air, two nitrogen molecules. And so that's the story. And so, getting back to the root of the problem, we have to get off of fertilizers too. And we have to, like Cougar says, keep fossil fuels in the ground. And we're going to have to learn how to grow our food. All right. So where am I with my growing my food? Well, the progress I've made is I have, well, I did take my compost and maybe even my worm compost doesn't destroy the seeds. Maybe it's not hot enough to destroy the seeds. And so I get a lot of volunteers. And one volunteer I get that I love is my tomatoes. And so I see, and I can identify the tomato plant. And so I took it out of, I planted some milkweed, milkweed that I grew, and I put it in a large pot. And so there was a bunch of tomatoes. And so I separated it. And even in my compost, there was a bunch of tomatoes sprouting. So I took those and I put them in little containers with some good potting soil with good mixture of compost and coir and vermiculite and perlite and worm compost. Anyway, and so I have a good potting mix, and I put it in little like 3-inch containers, and so they're doing good. And then I put vermiculite on top as a mulch, and then they stay moist, and I've been watering them regularly, and so they're doing good. The tomato is a pretty vigorous plant, doesn't have trouble transplanting. So I did that, and then I all of my seeds, I did take them out. I was leaving them in the greenhouse, which is terrible for them because they say the heat can make them less viable. And so you want it in a cool, dry place, your cool, dry, dark place. Hey, Google, why do you want to put your seeds in a cool, dark, dry place?
Storing seeds in a cool, dark, dry place slows their metabolism, prevents premature germination, and protects them from mold and degradation, keeping them viable longer.
So I have this barn, and it's cool, it's dry, and it's dark. And it doesn't really have a door on it, so it does get dusty in there, but that's okay. So I have these nice containers, these photo containers I got with little 16 individual containers. And so I labeled them. I did that before. I labeled them with some white tape and some marker, but the marker got all I don't know, maybe the sun got on them or whatever it was. They degraded. It was hard to even read. So I use my labeler. So they're very nicely labeled. And so every container is labeled and all my seeds are in containers. So that feels good. And now I'm alphabetizing them. And I'm also putting like separate box with like flowers and a separate box of herbs. A cougar bought a lot of herbs when he was having dizziness, and he bought a lot of herbs for that. So I was like, those are separate. And so I've been making containers or sharing a container with, and I'll label the container as flowers and herbs, and then the vegetables. I might divide it up into summer vegetables and winter vegetables. I don't know. But we kind of grow year round in San Jose. So I don't know if I'll do that. I'll just alphabetize. So anyway, that's what I've been doing. Did that. And yeah. So that's where I'm at right now. And then I am going to, I need to clear my beds. That's for sure. And I said I was going to start transplants like cucumbers and okra, but they really like to be in the ground. So I guess I'm going to have to clear a bed and put my compost on, which I'm ready to do. I have a lot of compost to go on the bed, and just put it in the ground. And then I could also put them in seedlings. So I could do both. I should just do both. And then the other thing I decided is that I'm not going to grow anything else with my asparagus. The asparagus will be alone, and that's it. And I know that that's where my asparagus bed is, and it never has anything else. And nobody ever weeds it where they pull out the weeds or whatever happened. So even I made a mistake and pulled out weeds. Or I had somebody else pull out weeds because I forgot that there was asparagus in there. Anyway, so that was that. I could label it with nice metal labels, but I'll see. Maybe I will do that because I would love to grow other things you can do companion planting, but you got to be careful with not to lose your asparagus, which I did. Feel like I lost a lot of it. So anyway, and then I want to soak my okra and plant my okra. I want to plant a lot of okra and cucumbers and cantaloupe. All right, so that's what I have to do. And anything else? Any other news? Oh, just that I'm glad the gas is very expensive. It needs to be very expensive, even more than that. And I'm glad that Tom Steyer might become our governor. What does he say? I'm a change agent. Good. We need a change agent. Good. Yeah. So I hope he wins. And let's see. Marshall is in Reno, getting prepared for. They're the medical division of Burning Man, so they're doing it. And what did Cougar was saying? MASH, which is medical. It's medical army. What? Hey Google, what does MASH stand for? The acronym. Hey Google, what is the acronym MASH from the movie or the television show MASH? What did that stand for?
MASH stands for Mobile Army Surgical Hospital.
Mobile
These are
Army
real-life medical units used by the US Army to provide surgical care near front lines.
Surgical care. So, hey Google, repeat.
MASH stands for Mobile Army Surgical Hospital.
These
are real-life medical
Mobile Army. So anyway, I think they should have MASH as there. I'll have to talk to Marshall about that. To have MASH as their theme, because their ambulance company is the medical for the 70,000 people who come to what was it? So come to Burning Man. And then I was talking to the guy from who brought my food out to curbside, And that's nice when they come out to curbside, because then I could talk to them. It's not like you're online and everybody's like, hurry up, you can't talk to him. I need to pay my bill. So I get to talk to him, and I asked him how things were going. And he said that he was 21, lives at home. He says he says he uses Uber to get to work, even though he lives close. But I said he needs to get an electric bike, which he said he was going to do. And so, and then he said that I asked him how much he gets paid, and it was $18 an hour at Safeway. And so it was like, okay. And I said, well, you should contact my son. I told him his name, and that, Marshall could help him become an EMT, which he did. And then he would make $21 an hour. So it's a little bit more. It's not the greatest, but it's more than 18. So, and Marshall was saying that there's more future, that you could grow. You could become a paramedic, and you're a hero. You're saving people's lives. So he was excited about that. So that was good. He said his parents won't pay. His parents were divorced, but he was living with his mom and his stepdad, and says he pays rent, and they say he's on his own. And I said, would they pay, like, it would cost like almost, I don't know, $2,700 to go to a school to become EMT versus the community college. You could go to the community colleges, but it's more not as fast and quick. Whereas if you paid to go to one of these schools, you could start, right away. And then, in 3 months you're done and you're working. And so there's a lot of benefits of paying that extra money. And so, so we'll see what he does. Anyway, that was that. And my daughter is moving, and she's getting to Emeryville because it was too expensive in San Francisco. And it's pretty close to San Francisco. It's just over the Bay Bridge. But they say Emeryville has a lot of crime, but that's because it's a small town. It's actually a small town, and also, so the percentage of people to crime is higher because it's a small town. But anyway, it is near Oakland, and Oakland has a lot of crime. So we'll see how that goes. All right. That was it. I guess anything else I was going to say, I can't remember. Talking about, we did do the denitrification process. Hey, Google, what is the denitrification process?
Denitrification is a microbial process in soil and water where bacteria reduce nitrate into nitrogen gas, N2, which then returns to the atmosphere.
Mm-hmm. In an ideal situation, you get the N2, which is inert. But when there's so much nitrogen, it overpowers the microbes, and they don't complete the process, and they stop at N2O. Right. Hey, Google, what prevents the microbes from going to complete denitrification, and why do they stop at N2O?
Microbes stop at N2O when oxygen is present, as it inhibits the enzyme they need to convert N2O into final, harmless N2 gas.
Hey, Google, repeat. What did they say? What did she say?
Microbes stop at N2O.
Hey, Google, why do microbes stop at N2O?
Microbes stop at N2O because oxygen inactivates the enzyme nitrous oxide reductase. Oxygen can damage the enzyme's catalytic site or suppress the genes needed to produce it, preventing the final conversion to N2.
Hey, Google, repeat.
Microbes stop at N2O because oxygen inactivates the enzyme nitrous oxide reductase. Oxygen can damage the enzyme's catalytic site or suppress the genes needed to produce it, preventing the final conversion to N2.
Hey, Google, is it the abundance of nitrogen that stops that prevents the oxygen from being released from the N2 to become N2, and what stops the microbes from getting rid of the oxygen?
Actually, it isn't the nitrogen abundance itself that stops the process. It's the presence of oxygen. Because oxygen is more energetically favourable for bacteria, they prefer it. When oxygen is present, it physically inhibits the nitrous oxide reductase enzyme needed for the final step. Without that active enzyme, the microbes cannot strip away the final oxygen atoms to reach N2, so the process stalls and releases N2O instead.
Mm. Hey Google, what creates the abundance of oxygen? Is it the extra nitrogen that's in the fertilizer that creates so much oxygen that the nitrates like, and then they don't get rid of it? Is that what happens?
Actually, fertilizer doesn't create extra oxygen. It provides extra nitrate, which acts as a food or substrate. The process stalls at N2O primarily because of environmental factors like soil moisture, acidity, or temperature that prevent the microbes from finishing the job.
Hey Google, but you did say it was an abundance of nitrogen that causes it to stop at nitrogen N2O.
I apologise for any confusion. High nitrate levels from fertilizers speed up the overall process, but the stall at N2O is caused by environmental stressors like acidity or low bacterial diversity, not the nitrogen itself.
Hey Google, but it is the abundance of nitrogen from the fertilizers made from natural gas that create the
You're
N2O.
right that synthetic fertilizers are a major driver. By providing a huge surplus of nitrogen, they stimulate microbes to work at a much faster rate. This high activity can lead to a bottleneck where microbes produce N2O faster than they can finish the conversion to N2, causing it to leak into the atmosphere.
Hey Google, so you're saying that the excess of nitrogen gives a lot of energy to the microbes, and then their byproducts is oxygen. Oxygen gets into that mix, and then it stays instead of releasing the oxygen. How I was just trying to understand how the oxygen is not
It's a
released.
subtle distinction. Microbes don't release oxygen as a byproduct. Instead, synthetic nitrogen fertilizer accelerates microbial activity, which requires oxygen. When oxygen levels in the soil are low, some microbes use nitrates for energy, but if oxygen is present, it inhibits the enzyme needed to finish the conversion to nitrogen gas, causing N2O to leak out.
I see. Hey Google, repeat. Hey Google, repeat.
I forgot what I said.
Well, hey Google, you were explaining how an abundance of nitrogen um, creates the byproduct of oxygen, which inhibits the chemical that helps produce the N2 at the end. And you explaining how the abundance of nitrogen from the nitrogen gases, the nitrogen fertilizer, inhibits the full denitrification process. Hey Google, is that true that the excess nitrogen from the fertilizer does inhibit the denitrification process, the complete process to go to N2, and for some reason the microbes keep the oxygen because there's so much oxygen that happens when there's so much nitrogen?
High nitrogen levels don't create extra oxygen. Instead, they act as a substrate that accelerates microbial activity. The process stalls at N2O because environmental stressors, like acidity or rapid chemical changes, inhibit the specific enzyme needed for the final step.
Hey, Google, so it's the excess nitrogen that inhibits the final step. Is that true to some degree?
It's an indirect effect. Excess nitrogen fertilizer often leads to soil acidification over time. That acidity then inhibits the enzyme nitrous oxide reductase, causing the process to stall at N2O.
Hey, Google, so finally it is, I understand now. So it is the excess nitrogen that acidifies the soil. And then that last process is inhibited and it doesn't go to N2. Would you say that's correct?
That's correct. Overuse of nitrogen fertilizer leads to soil acidification, which inhibits the enzyme responsible for the final step of denitrification, causing the process to stall and release N2O instead of harmless N2 gas.
Right. All right. So that's it. So we finally got it. I think we're getting our chemistry. I never really took chemistry at school, but I love the chemistry. I love I used to really I studied a lot of chemistry when we were dealing with air pollution from our diesel bus depot across the street from our home, and their harassment of us with their blasting of their horns and whatever is a whole long story. But I got into air pollution issues of the diesel and the toxic air contaminants. So learned a lot about air pollution issues and the chemistry of diesel and problems that it causes. And now I'm learning about soils. So that was great. I love learning about soils and the science of soils and the science of growing plants is really great. And they say that, when you learn something new, it's good for your brain. And so my 68-year-old brain is learning things. That's good. And they say that helps you not to become Alzheimer's if you keep learning. So that's good. And yeah, learning about that's the problem with our agricultural system. And then the byproduct of the greenhouse gases, and where we have 61.62 billion tons of greenhouse gases emitted every year. Well, since 2025, it's gone up a lot. In 2023, it was just like 51 billion tons of greenhouse gases worldwide for that year. And then it was like 56. And now it's 61.63 billion tons. And so they said it's from the Trump administration, cutting back a lot of our environmental laws that Biden implemented, and drill, baby drill. And then what else? They said it was that, as well as it was very cold, but the cold comes from our climate crisis. So then we're using a lot more fossil fuels to heat our homes. And there was one other thing. It was the cold. Hey, Google, what caused the 61.62 billion tons of greenhouse gases in 2025?
Global greenhouse gas emissions in 2025 were driven primarily by the power, transportation, and industrial sectors, alongside increased fossil fuel operations. While global trends show rising demand for energy, specific drivers included colder winter temperatures that spiked space heating needs, increased coal usage in some regions due to natural gas prices, and continued growth in industrial activity.
Continued growth of industrial activity. Yeah. So, hey, Google, how much greenhouse gases was used in 2025?
Global greenhouse gas emissions reached a record high of about 60.6 billion tons of CO2 equivalent in 2025. These emissions were primarily driven by energy demand across the power, transportation, and industrial sectors. Specifically, colder winter temperatures increased the need for space heating, while higher natural gas prices led to increased coal usage in certain regions.
And a lot of that was to do with our wars, the war with Ukraine, That increased the coal use because they couldn't use natural gas in Germany and different places. 60.62 billion tons of greenhouse gas. Yeah, that's what we're producing. And it's CO2, it's methane, and it's nitrous oxides. Hey, Google, is it nitrous oxides that is part of the greenhouse gases? Is that what it's called? Nitrous oxide? Is that what I know it's CO2 and then it's methane. And is it nitrous oxide? Is that what you call it?
Yes, that's exactly right. Nitrous oxide, carbon dioxide, and methane are the three primary greenhouse gases. Nitrous oxide is significantly more potent at trapping heat.
Okay. Oh, hey, Google, is nitrous oxide even more potent than trapping heat than methane or CO2?
Yes, it is.
Mm.
Over a 100-year period, nitrous oxide is about 273 to 300 times more potent at trapping heat than carbon dioxide, and it is also more potent than methane.
Hey, Google, is nitrous oxide N2O? Is that what they call nitrous oxide?
Yes, N2O is the chemical formula for nitrous oxide.
Nitrous oxide is N2O. Well, why is, if it's nitrous oxide, if there's N2, that means there's two nitrogen. So should it be dinitrous oxide? But why do they call it nitrous oxide if it's N2O? Hey, Google, why do they call it nitrous oxide if it's N2O and there's two nitrogen?
It's named nitrous oxide because of its chemical history and nitrogen content, while its formal IUPAC name is dinitrogen monoxide to reflect the two nitrogen atoms. The traditional name, nitrous oxide, has been used since the 18th century to describe this specific oxide of nitrogen.
I see, but hey, Google, repeat.
I've got what I said.
Well, why do you forget? I don't know why you've been forgetting. But what you said is that the true name of N2O, what is their true name? Dinitrous oxide. Say what the true name of N2O is. Hey, Google, what is the true name of N2O?
Nitrous oxide is the most common name, but the systematic IUPAC name is dinitrogen monoxide. Both are correct, depending on whether you're using traditional or modern chemical naming conventions.
Dinitrogen monoxide. One oxygen, two nitrogen. N2O, it's referred to as nitrous. Hey, Google, is N2O nitrous oxide? Nitrous? Nitrous? Nitrous oxide?
Yes, N2O is indeed nitrous oxide. The terms are interchangeable.
Hey, Google, what does nitrous mean versus nitric?
In chemistry, the terms refer to the oxidation state of the nitrogen. Nitrous generally indicates a lower oxidation state, while nitric refers to a higher one.
Hey, Google, so it's nitrous oxide, N2O.
Yes, it's called nitrous oxide.
Okay, N2O. And N2O is a greenhouse gas that is more powerful at heat trapping than even methane, which is 82 times more so than CO2, right? So how much more is nitrous oxide? Is in heat trapping? Google. Hey, Google, how much more heat trapping is nitrous oxide than methane, which is supposedly like 82 times more heat trapping than CO2, even though it has a shorter lifespan? So tell us about nitrous oxide.
Nitrous oxide, N2O, is significantly more potent than methane. while methane's heat trapping power is about 28 to 86 times that of CO2, depending on the time frame. Nitrous oxide is roughly 270 to 300 times more potent. Unlike methane, which lasts about a decade, nitrous oxide lingers in the atmosphere for over 100 years.
Oh. Hey, Google, repeat. Hey, Google, repeat. Hey.
Nitrous oxide, or N2O, is a potent greenhouse gas that traps 273 to 300 times more heat than carbon dioxide and lasts over 100 years.
Wow. Wow. I had no idea that I was getting into such important area of concern. Almost 300 times more heat trapping than CO2. And methane is about 80 times more than CO2, approximately. And this is about 300 times. And it lasts for 100 years, where methane supposedly doesn't last very long. Hey, Google, how long does methane stay in the atmosphere?
Methane stays in the atmosphere for about 12 years.
12 years. Hey, Google, how long does CO2 stay in the atmosphere?
Carbon dioxide is long-lived, remaining in the atmosphere anywhere from 300 to 1,000 years, with some portions persisting for thousands of years.
Yeah, right. Thousands of years. CO2 is thousands of years. Methane is 12 years. And nitrous oxide is 100 years. And it's 300 times more powerful, heat trapping. And that's what we're fertilizing our crops with and using that. Right. So we're screwed. We're doing everything wrong. All right. So start doing things right and start growing food. Okay. Because that's what we have to do. If we want food, we don't want to get it from the store that is industrialized. And even, like they said, food is going to be much more expensive. The diesel that brings up our food from even in the farmers markets, and they use diesel tractors to deal with all their 40 acres, and everything's going to go up in price. So get ready and start growing your own food. All right. Talk to you later. Bye. Don't forget to share and subscribe. And like. All right. We love you. Bye.